Myself in the just chatting section. Alright, time for the screen. I forgot. Recapped? Was that the one? Yeah, story recapped. Pretty close. Alright, we got some new movies. Step brother and sister get a little too close. Okay, no. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. But I have inner serve girls. Let's see here. But I gotta put myself in just chatting or I'm gonna get Dota Frogs mad at me. Just chatting. There we go. I'm a just chatting streamer now. Firefox? Ah, come on, dude. Alright, fine. I'll open it in Firefox. Damn. This is only for the VOD Frogs. I'm stalling here. Literally only for the VOD Frogs. Here we go. For 20 minutes, 30 minutes of content for VOD Frogs. Here you go. There. Alright, what we got here? We got... Why is Firefox so scuffed? It's like a square. What is this? Why is it not... Why? Oh, it's my fault. There we go. Okay, what we got here? Lovers try to survive a world where emotions are illegal. Family keeps women trapped in their basement. That's kind of weird. Girl gets fun of because her period gets too soon. Why are all these so weird? Innocent girl dives deep into something deep, altering her mind. We saw this one 2 weeks ago, actually. All right, we can do this one.
Recapped here.
Oh, this is fine. We can watch a horror one after this, if this one isn't horror. We'll watch this and one horror one.
Today, I'm going to explain a horror, mystery, thriller film called The Blackcoat's Daughter, written and directed by Oz Perkins, son of Anthony Perkins from Alfred Hitchcock's classic film, Psycho. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care.
Watch out,
Grief and loneliness are some of life's most painful experiences. Much like other kinds of pain, they can push people into committing various actions as a way to cope. Some coping ways are helpful for the person's mind, like talking to their loved ones or focusing on their own needs.
Or saying it's fine.
But some coping mechanisms can be harmful, to both the person grieving and to the people around them. Here, we'll see how different characters cope with their loss and how it could drive one to do terrible things. In February, Kat, a freshman from the Bramford Academy, dreams about her father fetching her. She walks with her father on a snowy road, filled with a sense of dread as she asks where their car is. Up ahead, a wrecked car waits for them. Kat calls out worriedly for her mother before she wakes up from the disturbing dream. In her dark bedroom, Kat stares at the calendar, marking the day today. Tomorrow, her parents will pick her up for the week-long winter break. That morning, Kat visits Father Brian in his office. Father Brian will be leaving for a personal
business are always sussy in these movies.
Miss Kat's upcoming recital. Father Brian senses something is troubling Kat. His concerns increase when he sees an odd smile on Kat's face as she stares seemingly into space. Kat graciously dismisses his concerns and wishes him luck on his trip. At the school clinic, a senior student, Rose, complains to the nurse about headaches and having trouble swallowing. In her dorm room, she shares her late period to her friend, Lizzie. Rose is worried that she might be pregnant, but is uncertain if she would tell her boyfriend and her parents. While the other students are excited to see their parents again the next day, Kat heads to the empty road, watching it expectantly. Moments later, Lizzie catches up to Rose, who's heading to the auditorium. When asked where her parents are, Rose tells her friend that they're waiting for her inside. But when Rose parts ways with Lizzie, she joins a group of friends inside the auditorium instead.
Okay.
Rose is the cool girl in school, surrounded by friends and even having a boyfriend despite going to an all-girls Catholic school.
Yeah.
Yet, even with people by her side, Rose keeps them at arm's length when it matters. She confides her secret to Lizzie, but lies to her about her parents being there to pick her up for winter break. She also hesitates in sharing the pregnancy to both her parents and boyfriend, despite both parties being heavily involved should she have a baby. Even with all the people around her, Rose still doesn't have anyone she can fully be honest with. Her situation mirrors many people's social standards of having many friends but no close friends or loved ones to turn to when they're in trouble. A lack of quality relationships, in spite of having large quantities of it, can also make someone feel alone. Rose and her friends watch Kat's performance in the auditorium. The students and parents enjoy Kat's song, unaware of the emotions she presses down as she performs. Her eyes linger to the side, staring at two empty seats from the auditorium worriedly.
No parents.
After all the other students have gone back home, Kat and Rose are left behind. Kat's parents are unreachable while Rose gave her parents the wrong day to come pick her up, thus they haven't arrived. Mr. Gordon assures Kat that her parents might just be delayed due to the bad weather or a similar confusion about the dates like Rose's. Noticing Kat's distant demeanor, Mr. Gordon tries to calm her worries, but it doesn't work. Later that day, Kat calls her father, but only reaches his voicemail. The girls are invited to the nearby home of the school nurses, Miss Prescott and Ms. Drake, who stay in the boarding school's premises even during the winter vacation. While they set the table for supper, Kat gets a sinking feeling as she places a spoon skewed on a napkin and straightens it. The image of the shiny spoon against the blank white napkin is reminiscent of Kat standing alone against the white,
analysis. What is this?
Road. The white and cold background echoes her loneliness, and her fixation on this sadness has her finding signs of it in
What the
odd
fuck?
places.
When did this guy start
The focus on the
analyzing?
single spoon and her obsessive urge to straighten it are the first and subtle
Dude,
signs we see of
maybe
her
she
declining
just
mental
straightened the spoon. What is this? Like, it feels like I'm back in English class, you know, in high school. Like, yeah, so the reason she flipped the spoon, maybe she just wanted the spoon to be straight. What the hell?
state. After dinner, Rose gets dressed up
The
in
fuck,
her room,
dude?
ready to sneak out of the school for the night. While she gets prettied up, Rose shares rumors about the school nurses whom she claims to have no real hair in their body, even their eyebrows. The rumor started when a student who graduated 3 years ago walked in on the nurses at night while they worshipped the devil. The story visibly
Okay.
disturbs Kat, but Rose ignores her doubts. After Rose gets into a car with her boyfriend, Rick, Kat enters Rose's room despite being warned not to do so. Kat checks Rose's makeup table and finds Rose's school photo. In the photo, Rose seems like a regular Catholic schoolgirl, contrasting how she dressed up that evening. As Kat stares down at the photo, a school payphone rings in the distance. Kat is now alone in the boarding school for the first time. Watching the other girl get prettied up and joining her boyfriend in a car makes Kat wonder how vastly different her life is to Rose.
Just left her
Comparing
all
herself
alone?
to Rose, as well as being stuck in an empty building, amplifies Kat's isolation. No matter how good life gets, seeing someone have something we don't can strike us with jealousy and sadness. In a town near Bramford, a young woman named Joan arrives at the terminal and quickly goes to the restroom. Her mind fills with flashes of memories from a mental health facility where she's escaped from. Joan rips off the hospital
Yeah, that
band
is
from her
actually
wrist and
scary, though.
uses a payphone to make a call. Unfortunately, the number she calls is no longer in service. She takes a map from the waiting area, plotting her route. As she waits alone in the shed outside, a man named Bill approaches her. Bill worries for the young woman, alone in the freezing weather with only a thin jacket to keep her warm. He offers her a ride, pointing at his car
Yeah,
parked with his wife
trust
inside to
him,
assure her
my
that he
ass,
means no
dude.
harm. Joan says she wants to go to Portsmouth, which Bill will pass by along the highway. Joan accepts the offer.
How
but
she,
Bill's
she
wife,
accepted?
Linda,
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
seem to be happy with the
His
stranger
wife
in
is
the
there,
backseat.
I guess.
At Bramford, Rick and Rose
Dude, if someone
return
walks
the
up to
boarding school.
a bus stop and says, "Yo, get in my car, bro," like, no way.
Their solemn expressions hint at the troubled night they spent. Rose has revealed to Rick about her potential pregnancy, but she refuses his help. He worries about her, but Rose disregards his words and leaves the car. An unexpected pregnancy amongst teens is truly a serious matter. Rose decides to share her worries with her boyfriend, but still rejects his worries and offers to help. Often, such situations would lead young women to seek help from their partner, since they're part of the pregnancy as well. But Rose isolates herself and wishes to deal with the problem in her own way. Her relationship with Rick is not enough to let her trust him, and so she pushes him away, forcing herself to handle things alone. Inside, she passes by Kat's bedroom but finds she's not there. Before heading back to her room, Rose goes to the bathroom to pee and wash off her makeup. The vents rumble suddenly, and she hears a voice echoing from it. Rose looks around, disturbed by the sound she's hearing. Curiosity overcomes fear as Rose follows the voice downstairs. The dim hallway
boy, here
fills
we go.
Rose with dread, yet she pushes on, still hearing the voice that she assumes is coming from Kat. She follows an ominous orange light from the boiler room and peeks into the small window on the door. There, she finds Kat's silhouette, bowing in front of the boiler repeatedly.
The hell?
The scene is a quintessential horror shot. Until this point, Kat has been the shy, lonely schoolgirl who's bothered by stories about the nurses being devil worshippers.
Worshipping
But
the
hours after
boiler.
the story, she's prostrating herself before the boiler in an unusually stoic, nearly inhuman, manner. It's here where the film begins to plunge us into the horrors residing within Kat. She has succumbed to her sadness and it's leading her down a dark path. Later in the evening, Joan wakes up in the motel where they stopped over. While preparing to take a shower, Joan closes her eyes and sees a memory of a police officer shooting at her. Joan bears a scar on her shoulder,
NA police.
the result of the officer firing at her in the past. More haunting memories invade her mind as she showers, including one of a priest hovering over her in the darkness. After her shower, Bill checks in on Joan, worried about her as a father would. Joan apologizes for troubling him and his wife, but Bill shrugs off her apologies. When asked why he's helping her, Bill shares how he sees God in little coincidences, like how he found her at the terminal. Joan reminds Bill of someone he loved, and he saw a sign of God in her, thus he went out of his way to help.
Yeah,
Just
right.
like Bill, it's not uncommon for people to see signs of a higher power on small events. Many develop this trait simply out of their upbringing, but some hold on
Dude,
to
she's
this
like
belief
naked.
due to
Can
a
you
big
get
event in
out of
their
the
lives.
room? What the fuck is he doing?
Bill mentioning how Joan reminds him of someone he loved implies how his religious beliefs stem from longing for that person. Joan is a stand-in for a loved one who isn't with him at this moment. Bill and Linda are headed to Bramford, which is near Portsmouth. Hearing this, something inside Joan sparks. After Bill leaves, Joan hides her face on her shoulders and rocks her body on the bed. Back at Bramford, Rose waits on Kat as she showers. Rose is pissed at having to babysit Kat but is also disturbed by what she saw. While Kat dresses up, Rose convinces herself that Kat was only sleepwalking. Kat hops into bed when Rose brings up her parents. Kat believes her parents won't be calling her, but Rose suggests they might have been confused like her parents. But Kat knows the truth. Rose deliberately lied to her parents about the start of their vacation. Kat believes her parents are dead, shocking Rose. Rose scolds her for saying awful things, and Kat's only reply is that Rose smells pretty. Creeped out by Kat's words,
that's
Rose
creepy,
gets up
dude.
to leave. Before doing so, Rose asks if there's anything else she can get for Kat, which the younger girl refuses, saying that she had her chance. The statement bothers Rose further,
What the hell?
but she no longer wants to stay around the strange girl and leaves. When Rose returns to her room, she locks the door and blocks it with an armchair. Kat's strange behaviors scare Rose, and she now fears for her safety. Alone in her room, Kat twitches from her bed under the blanket and her body contorts oddly. Many
Whoa.
believe that extreme sadness and depression can make a person vulnerable to influences beyond their control. After being left alone, Kat begins her slow descent into darkness. It starts with the surprising scene of her prostrating herself to the boiler, to her cryptic messages
analysis.
to Rose,
Okay, we
and
get it.
topping it
We
with a
get it.
body contortion scene reminiscent of many iconic demon possession films. This hammers down the idea that something supernatural is happening to the Catholic schoolgirl. At the restaurant near the motel, Joan joins Bill for
What's
dinner.
this new analysis?
He
he's
asks
doing?
why she's heading to Portsmouth, which she answers that she's visiting someone. Bill causally shares stories about his family, particularly his daughter. The following day is the 9th anniversary of his daughter's death, and meeting Joan, who is around the same age as Bill's daughter would have been, reminded him of her. Bill shows Joan a picture of his daughter, Rose. Joan stares at Rose's face ominously, her thoughts interrupted when the waitress checks on their table. Joan excuses herself to the bathroom, where she stifles laughter. She fixes herself in front of the mirror as she remembers strangling a woman and stealing her ID. It turns out that Joan is the fake name she stole from the woman she killed.
Okay.
When she leaves the bathroom, she stops upon seeing a police officer talk to Bill. Before rejoining Bill, Joan looks meaningfully at a used steak knife from the restaurant. Bill informs her about the weather getting worse, forcing him to choose to head into the road tonight instead of waiting for the morning. While waiting for Bill in the car, Linda asks Joan if he told her about their daughter. Linda worries over Bill grasping at his daughter's memory, finding her image in a lot of people he sees, like how she sees her in Joan. Linda doesn't share this behavior, except for one time she saw a teenage girl in a similar school uniform as Rose's. Lost in her thought, Linda describes the girl who reminded her of Rose in detail. Her voice cracks as she does. Linda sighs heavily, snapping out of the memory. The grief of losing a child can push parents into strange behaviors, as represented by Bill and Linda. After 9 years, Bill takes comfort by clutching to his daughter's memories and seeing her image in nearly any small thing he can find, which stresses his wife further. For Linda,
Analysis.
the thought of her daughter only
I
brings her
think
misery.
someone said he's doing analysis now, so it avoids copyright. That's
Refuses
possible,
to
I
see
guess.
her in other people, and the only time she did, it only caused her great pain, as suggested by how she loses herself in the memory. This is why she's been cold to Joan compared to how Bill has treated her. Bill cares for Joan as if she was Rose, but Linda, knowing that this is her husband's motivation for helping Joan, is only reminded of the pain of losing her daughter.
Okay.
9 years ago, Rose wakes up still bothered about the events of the previous night. She finds Kat on the phone, assuming that she's speaking to her parents. Instead, Kat tells her she was talking to someone who doesn't allow her to live in the school but offers her to live with him. When Rose asks who she's talking about, Kat scoffs and says it's Mr. Gordon. Kat approaches Rose and comments on her smelling pretty again, making her uncomfortable. The girls are invited back to the nurse's house
That's a
for
little bit
breakfast.
weird.
While praying, Kat stares at Rose, alerting Miss Prescott. Miss Prescott insists on Kat praying with them. Kat smiles as she says the prayer half-heartedly, insulting the woman. Kat stands up casually, then throws up on the table, alarming them all. At the nurse's office, Ms. Prescott checks on Kat's health, who looks sickly and unfocused. When Ms. Drake takes her hand to give her medicine, Kat curses the woman. A different voice echoes along with Kat's, which the others don't notice.
Demon.
All three women stare at Kat, frozen in shock at her words. Kat's character has completely turned on its heel. She started as a soft-spoken freshman but is now resisting her prayers and cursing at the women caring for her. Often, this could be a sign of her declining mental state. The feeling of loneliness or grief, especially to teenagers, could make them act out and even deny the customs that have been pushed onto them. However, knowing Kat's other actions that her companions haven't noticed, we know there's a deeper reason for her changes. The silence is broken when the phone rings. Ms. Prescott scolds Kat for her language, but Ms. Drake calls her attention, worried about the phone call. With the nurses gone, Kat rambles on how the headmaster is wrong, that she can live there. The nurses call on Rose and ask her to shovel a path, in preparation for Mr. Gordon's arrival. Hearing the headmaster will be returning, Rose worries that something happened. Ms. Prescott, however, refuses to say any more. After Rose is done shoveling the snow, she heads back to the house but finds the door locked. She looks into the windows, hoping to get the attention of the
She
nurses,
killed everybody
but
or what?
doesn't find anyone. Tired, she walks back to the school in her bedroom instead. While Rose takes a nap, Mr. Gordon arrives, accompanied by a policeman. They head to the nurse's house but find it locked. Instead, they enter from the back door and see something shocking inside the house. The day before the winter break, a horned silhouette follows Kat. She calls her parents on the payphone in the hallway after her bath but is instead greeted by the entity that calls her baby girl. The voice tells her they're not coming and orders her to kill. Kat drops the call, heavily disturbed by the messages. Throughout the rest of the day, Kat is distraught and distant. The time she's talking to Rose in her bedroom, Kat sees the horned silhouette at the corner. When the phone rings in the hallway, after Rose has left, Kat answers it. The voice tells Kat that she can stay with it. The truth about Kat is finally revealed. Her point of view over the last few days reveals that something evil has taken interest on her. The entity first makes direct contact when she tries to call her parents, where it calls her baby girl. This tugs onto Kat's need for a parental figure, now that her parents have perished. When Rose leaves with her boyfriend, Kat is left alone in the academy building for the very first time. The empty building magnifies Kat's loneliness, making it the perfect time for the entity to tempt her once again, promising that she can stay with it.
True.
The idea, mixed with her grief and loneliness, becomes the lure that plunges Kat into the darkness that results in several tragedies. On the day she's left at the nurse's home, Kat stabs the two older women, leaving a bloody scene which Mr. Gordon finds later on. Rose wakes up from her nap, examining her body as she still worries about being pregnant. She heads to the bathroom to shower, where she discovers her period had started. Rose is relieved that she's not pregnant. Her celebration is cut short when she hears someone enter the bathroom. Rose calls out to Kat, but nobody answers.
Dude, this is actually
she checks
scary.
around the bathroom, finding no one there. She looks outside and sees the door to the staircase close. Driven by curiosity again, Rose peeks into the staircase. A dead body sits at the foot of the steps, frightening Rose to back away. As she does, Kat appears and stabs her repeatedly.
What the hell?
Rose drops to the floor,
That escalated
still clinging
fast.
to life but is powerless over her deranged schoolmate. Kat looks around the hallway with a mad smile on her face. She watches Rose's life leave her body and lifts her head by the hair, ready to perform her next step. From the nurse's house,
Holy
the
shit,
policeman
alright.
who accompanied Mr. Gordon follows a trail of blood
She's
leading to
dead?
the
I thought that
school's
was the
boiler
main
room.
character.
Here, he finds Kat kneeling before the boiler next to the decapitated heads of her victims.
Damn.
Kat stands up as the policeman warns her to drop the knife, his voice muffled against her ears. The policeman aims his gun at her, distressed over the image of the young girl and her victims. Kat slowly lifts her arms and hails the devil. She screams like a beast, prompting the policeman to shoot her. As soon as Kat notices the police officer, his
She
voice
did have her
becomes
hands
muffled,
up, though.
signifying Kat's detachment to the real world.
Yeah.
He is nothing but a vague entity to her, one that's interrupting what she needs to do. Much like how Rose pushed the people around her, Kat has completely rejected the world where she only felt abandonment. Instead, she turns her devotion to the evil entity that promises to stay by her side. At present, Bill drives his wife and Joan through the highway, nearing Bramford. Linda argues to Bill how he keeps sharing stories about their daughter, but skips the part on how she was murdered. When they're near the boarding school, Joan asks to stop the car as she's feeling sick. Linda refuses to stop near the school, unwilling to be near where their daughter was murdered. But Bill insists and parks the car anyway. As soon as the car stops, Joan stabs the couple from the backseat, killing them both. With her face covered in their blood, Joan begins to slice off the couple's heads. Joan puts the heads into empty luggage from the trunk and cleans
Everyone's
the blood
crazy.
from her face and even puts on makeup. 9 years ago, Kat wakes up in a mental health facility, strapped to the bed. Father Brian visits her and touches her forehead. As soon as he does, Kat gives him a coy smile, alerting Father Brian that something is inside her. The priest performs an exorcism on Kat, commanding the entity inside her to leave. Kat floats on the bed during the exorcism, then drops suddenly on the bed. She looks to the side, seeing the horn shadow by the window. Kat begs it not to leave, but it disappears. At present, Joan heads to the old Bramford boarding school, which has been abandoned since the horrific events.
Is it the same demon,
She
I
goes
guess?
to the boiler room and finds the boiler cold and deserted. The entity that radiated warmth and light from the boiler is no longer here. Unable to perform her ritual, Joan heads out and breaks down in the middle of the road. Extreme loneliness can make someone seek comfort in the most awful places. This is often the reason why young people mingle with a bad crowd who influences them into criminal activity. Kat takes this into a whole new level. As symbolized by the harsh winter in both Kat and Joan's timeline, and how the film shows Kat alone in front of a snowy,
that's
empty
kind of why we were gangsters, you know, when we were kids.
Extremes were supposed to arrive to buy herself more time to either get rid of the pregnancy or to formulate a way
Is
to
this
break
just
the news to
analysis
her
now?
parents. With all her own worries, she
I think
rejects
so.
helping out.
Alright, let's choose another movie.
Rose ignores the younger girl.
I thought it was
despite
fine. We can find a better one, I think, though. Should we do horror? I think there's a... I don't know if they're all with analysis now, because maybe they finally... Oh, whoops. Mystery recap. These are pretty good, usually. These are pretty good. You can watch one of these. Let's see. Was it over? Yeah, it was over. It was over. It just started with analysis, I think. It was over there. They got into analysis now because summary channels are getting demonetized due to copyright. Same for some similar changing the AI voice. Oh, I see. I see. Alright, we'll see if this one has changed. Where do I see uploads? Okay, there we go. Strictest prison in the world. Inmates aren't even allowed to dream. That sounds pretty pog. In the future, you can block others from your life. Oh, this is Black Mirror. I've seen this one. A world where prehistoric creatures never went extinct. That sounds PogChamp as hell, dude. In 2041, the only city left after a virus. Many people mysteriously disappear. Alright, we can watch... let's watch these two. The strict prison and I kind of want to watch this prehistoric one. These are shorter. These are only 10 minutes. 12 minutes. Okay, let's go.
Hi, Mystery Recapped here.
Wait, this or this first? Let's watch the monsters first.
Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain an American science fiction action film called John Carter.
I have not seen this movie.
Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care.
But I've heard of it.
The movie starts on a strange planet called Barsoom. The planet consists of 3 major kingdoms called the Helium, the Zodanga, and the Tharks.
Zodanga.
Helium
Bazinga.
and Zodanga have been at war for centuries. In the beginning of the movie, we see the army of Helium, in blue capes, battling the army of Zodanga in red capes. The general of Zodanga, named Sab
Yeah, this is the voice.
is approached by 3 men who claim to be messengers of God, called Thurn. The Thurn's leader, Matai Shang.
Dude, this guy is literally the main bald guy in every movie. Like this guy. Every movie, dude.
His leader, Matai Shang, gives him a mysterious blue weapon and tells
It's him
him
and
that he
Vin
has been
Diesel.
chosen
Those
by
are the two.
goddess to receive it. The Thurns have decided to help Zodanga in the war. They possess the control over a mysterious blue light called the Ninth Ray, which makes them stronger than other living creatures on Barsoom.
Yeah.
We cut to New York City in 1881. A man named Edgar is summoned by his uncle named John Carter to New York City. When Edgar drops at the station, he is greeted by John's butler, who takes him to John's estate. As it turns out, John is a wealthy man and a former Confederate Army captain. John's lawyer sadly informs Edgar of John's sudden death. John has left all of his vast wealth to Edgar. The lawyer then takes a surprised Edgar to John's mausoleum, where his body is being preserved. But strangely, the door of the mausoleum only opens from the inside. Later, the lawyer hands Edgar a personal diary of John, which John wanted only Edgar to read. When the lawyer leaves, he begins to read it. It begins by mentioning that Edgar was the only one who believed John's wild stories when he was little, so it only feels right to tell
He got all the money because he believed the stories when he was a kid?
After the Civil War, John Carter is a former captain in the Confederate Army who currently looks for gold.
The Vindicator, thanks.
In caves. Powell is a Union colonel who wants John to help his U.S. cavalry soldiers against the Apache, so he abducts him and tries drafting him as a soldier. However, John doesn't want to fight as a soldier anymore. After several failed attempts of running away, he manages to escape by knocking a guard out and stealing the colonel's horse. The colonel and his men pursue him. Not far away, they come across a mounted Apache war band. The colonel and the men get into a shootout with the people. John tries running away amidst the chaos, but the colonel gets injured in the fight. He helps the colonel out of pity and brings him to a nearby cave. The cave is new to John, as he has never come here in search of gold. He goes inside, lights a match, and is beyond surprised to see lots of gold embedded on the roof of the cave. However, just then, a man behind him appears out of nowhere. The man is one of the Thurns we saw in the beginning of the movie. The colonel alerts John, who gets into a fight with the strange man. He shoots the man, making him fall to the ground. When John goes near him, he hears the man say Barsoom, while looking at a strange medallion in his hands. John picks up the medallion and repeats the word, Barsoom. Suddenly, a bright
he's gonna lose all his hair now.
out of the locket.
Not worth it.
When John opens his eyes again, he is in a strange desert. He gets up and tries walking, but falls in every step. It seems as though he can float in midair. Confused, he practices walking in the new environment. As he walks, he reaches a hill nearby, where he sees several eggs hatching.
Oh,
Just
okay,
then,
eggs.
A large group of green creatures with 6 limbs appear riding on massive animals. The leader attacks him, making John take a huge leap. The rest start firing at John, but stop when their leader asks them to. The creature speaks in a different language and introduces himself as Tas Tarkas. John introduces himself as John Carter from Virginia, but the creatures decipher that his name is Virginia. Tarkas asks John to jump as he did before, but he denies and attacks him. The creatures injure John and hold him hostage. As they talk, we get to know that their kind is called Tharks. Elsewhere on the same planet, the princess of the city of Helium, Deja, practices presenting a weapon she has designed to her father, the king of Helium. Helium is at war with another city called the Zodanga and is about to lose because of Thurns being
Imagine losing to something called Zodanga.
Deja has figured out the secret of the Ninth Ray used by the Zodanga to fight the war. However, when she shows her weapon to the king, a man secretly causes a malfunction, causing it to explode. The king of Zodanga, Sab Than, wants to marry Deja for the war to end, but she is extremely against it. If Sab Than marries her, he will be the prince of Helium and will have the power to rule all of Barsoom. Meanwhile, the Tharks take John to their city and put him with the newly born infants. At night, a female Thark named Sola feeds John a liquid, after which he can understand the language of the Tharks. The following day, the Tharks order John to jump high in front of everyone. John notices that the medallion is with Tarkus, and without it, he cannot go back home. Just then, 2 battleships appear in the sky. The Helium and the Zodanga are battling each other. The war is entertainment to the Tharks, who bet on who will win. We see Princess Deja fighting in the ships.
It's like Stream Watchers.
She tries to control the ship, but falls off of it in the process. John, using his newfound jumping powers, saves the princess. The Tharks start cheering for John, who is now fighting the Zodanga's soldiers along with Deja. John manages to change the course of the fight, making the Helium win, but their ship crashes as well. Deja and John are with the Tharks. Tarkas is impressed.
The only reason he picked a side was because one of the sides had a hot girl. That's like, okay, I'll kill the other side for you. He didn't know shit about anything.
John is reluctant to the idea, but doesn't disagree. At night, Deja and John talk, and Deja reveals to John that they're on Mars, which is called Barsoom in their language.
I'll fight the war.
John is surprised and doesn't believe her. He tells her that he is from Earth. Deja finds that hard to believe too. Because of his thicker bone density and the planet's low gravity, Carter has incredible strength and can leap high. Deja then takes him to the Tharks temple, where no humans are allowed to go. She hopes that the temple has a way to know how people can travel through worlds, as John did. The kind female Thark, Sola, follows along behind them, begging them to stop. Deja shows John the statue of the goddess Isis and reads some markings engraved in it. However, the 3 of them are soon arrested by the Tharks and sentenced to death for entering the temple. Tarkus asks everyone to leave him alone with the prisoners in the cell in order to cut John's hands off. When
he doesn't seem that strong.
He reveals that he is Sola's father and doesn't want them to die at the hands of the Tharks. He hands John his medallion and asks him to go to the river Is to solve the mystery of the goddess Isis and get back to his world. When the Tharks look into the room after some time, they see that Tarkus has betrayed them. Tarkus's enemy, Tal Haju, takes charge and declares himself the new leader. Then we see John, Deja, and Sola heading for the river Is. Deja is leading the way. However, Sola tells John that she is leading them towards the city of Helium instead of the river. John confronts her about it, and it turns out that she was taking him to her city to use him as a soldier in the war. Disappointed, John asks Sola to lead the way and leaves the princess there. Deja insists that she only did it because she doesn't want to marry Sabthan. He asks her to accompany him to the river. With no other way out, she agrees. The 3 sail through the river of Is and reach a massive inverted pyramid. John and Deja go on top of it and see a strange blue energy forming on the ground. Deja realizes that this is the power of the 9th ray that she had made her weapon from. They also realize that Carter's appearance on Mars is likely due to the transmission of a copy of himself from Earth to Mars with the help of the 9th ray. Just then, an army of war hoons approaches, led by Matai Shang, the leader of the Therns. John bravely tells Deja and Sola to run away and fights the army of war hoons himself.
Holy shit, he's just going in alone?
Sends his army to John's aid, who defeats the war hoons and saves them. They take an injured John to Helium. Deja reaches her home and meets her father. She is surprised to see the king of Zodanga, Sabthan, there. He has come with no weapon or soldiers to ask Deja to marry him and end the war. Deja doesn't have any other way to stop the war, so she reluctantly agrees to marry him. In the following scene, we see John resting in a chamber in a Helium palace. A soldier appointed by Deja fetches him and secretly takes him to her chamber. Deja asks John to go back to his home using the medallion. When the guards enter her chamber, John disappears. Deja thinks that he went back to the Earth, but John is actually hiding from the soldiers. When they leave, he tries going outside.
He just jumped on the fucking roof.
Caught by Matai Shang. John is surprised by Matai Shang's ability to change into any creature around him. The whole city is preparing for the wedding of Sabthan and Deja. Matai Shang binds John to himself with the help of a technology developed by the 9th ray. John is unable to move his body to his will. Matai Shang seems to be controlling him with his wrist device. Matai Shang then reveals to him that Sabthan is planning to kill Deja and invade Helium after the marriage. The Thern took his side in the war because Sabthan was the easiest to manipulate. But Matai Shang's real aim is to rule all of Barsoom through Sabthan. Matai Shang is about to kill John when an alien dog John had befriended earlier comes to his rescue. It bites off Matai Shang's wrist device, letting John free. He hurries to a flying craft and flies away to stop Deja from marrying Sabthan.
Saved by dog.
However, John doesn't know how to control the aircraft and crash lands near the Tharks' territory. They hold him captive with a beaten Tarkus. Tal Haju, who is now the leader of the Tharks, puts John and Tarkus with massive beasts called the White Apes. John somehow manages to capture the apes in front of the whole Thark population. He then invites Tal Haju to fight him and defeats him in one go. Everyone cheers for John, who
He
is now the new
agreed to
leader
fight
of
him
the
after
Tharks.
to fight him after he killed the big ape in front of him. He's like, yeah, and then he one-shots him.
Then persuades them to help him fight the Zodanga. The army of Tharks and John make their way to Deja and Sabthan's wedding ceremony. John reaches there just in time to stop the wedding. Seeing him, Sabthan tries to kill Deja, but John stops him just in time. A war between the soldiers of the two cities erupts again. However, the Tharks are on the side of Helium now. The Zodanga soon loses, but Matai Shang manages to escape with John's medallion. John plans to live on Mars as Deja's husband, so he doesn't bother to look for the medallion. He and Deja get married, and the crowd cheers for them. He is now the Prince of Helium. The following morning, John and Deja are on a balcony. Deja leaves John outside and goes into the room when Matai Shang appears. John tries to fight him, but he manages to use the medallion to send John back to Earth. When John wakes up, he is covered in dust and his beard has grown long. He is in the same cave and looks toward Colonel Powell to see his remains, suggesting that a long time has passed on Earth while he was on Mars. He looks around for a medallion but doesn't find it. He has no way to go back. The gold embedded in the cave.
Oh, that's why he was so rich.
He knows that there are more medallions on Earth. He starts a mining corporation and searches for the medallion for the next 10 years, until one day he finally finds one on a site. John is delighted, but he knows that the Therns have been keeping an eye on him all this time. His body on the Earth must be protected when he goes to Mars, because any harm on it will cause him to die on both planets.
That's why he's in the tomb.
That is why his mausoleum only opens from the inside. He had orchestrated his death to return back to Mars. John writes in the diary that he wants Edgar to protect his mausoleum from the Therns in turn of the wealth. Edgar is in shock after reading the diary. He goes out to the mausoleum and tries opening it with a secret password, which turns out to be Ned, the name John called Edgar when he was a kid. As the doors to the mausoleum open, a Thern approaches Edgar. He had been spying on Edgar, waiting to kill John. However, before he can harm Edgar, someone from behind knocks him out. Edgar is beyond surprised to see his uncle in front of him. John takes the Thern's medallion, as it turns out he had never found the medallion. All this, including his
He just wanted to bait the bald guy
to attract a Thern and acquire his medallion.
Oh,
John
that was smart.
Asks Edgar to protect his mausoleum.
That was smart, dude.
And goes inside of it. He lies on the bed with the medallion and begins the chant that will take him back to Mars again. Barsoom. Subscribe for more videos
he fucking
like
outplayed the bald guys, dude. Outplayed them. Holy shit. Literally jebaited. Shot him in the back and took his medallion. It was a pretty good movie, honestly. It was nice to watch. One of the better ones we've watched, I think. One of the better ones with an actual decent ending. Alright. Last one. Strictest prison in the world. Inmates aren't even allowed to dream. Last one, boys. Let's watch this one. Then we'll go sleep.
Analysts.
Analysts.
Analysts. Analysts. Analysts.
I don't know how long this is gonna go on. I have to open the thing to skip it.
Analysts. Analysts.
Give me a sec.
Analysts.
Anal.
Analysts. 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 Analysts.
Okay, there we go. Don Erotica, Andrew Holty, thanks.
Today,
thank you.
I'm going
Mirka
to explain
Unger,
a
thanks,
science fiction action film called Fortress. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie begins in futuristic Canada, where the government has banned the birth of a second child to control the population. No one is allowed to give birth to more than one child, even if the first one dies. At the heavily guarded Canada-United States border station, an automated voice requests everyone to take their personal belongings to the inspection office. Former Army officer John Henry Brennick and his wife Karen Brennick are in a car about to be inspected. The couple seems to be nervous about the check. When Karen moves her arm, a magnetic vest that she is wearing inside her overcoat is visible. Turns out that Karen is pregnant and they are going to Vancouver to give birth to their second child. After the first child is born, the government ties the female's tube. However, Karen got lucky and got pregnant again. Hence, the magnetic vest is to cover her pregnancy. When they are at the inspection center, the soldiers order them to get out of the car with their belongings. While a soldier checks Karen's bag, the girl in front of them gets arrested for being pregnant. But as Karen walks through the scanning machine, the magnetic vest stops it from alerting the guards. The couple is safely outside, but one guard approaches them and notices the magnetic vest on Karen. An alarm starts to ring and the soldiers attack them. John manages to fight them and runs away with Karen
actually just fucked up a bunch of soldiers?
As the soldiers pursue them, John asks Karen to run away without him, and she reluctantly agrees. John is soon arrested, but Karen manages to flee. In the following scene, we see John and other prisoners like him in a vehicle being taken to a prison called the Fortress. It is a privately owned maximum security prison offered by the Mentel Corporation. The Fortress lies in the middle of a massive desert, and escaping from the prison is impossible. They get inside the facility, and the guards make them strip naked. A voice in the background welcomes the prisoners to the Fortress and introduces himself as Director Poe. The prisoners are then brought to a room where everyone is fitted with a psychological security intelligence system. The system is fitted into their intestine and is triggered when anyone breaks the prison's rules. The process is called intestination. Poe announces that after the implantation of the technology, the prisoners who cross the yellow line on the floor will be induced with extreme pain in their abdomen, and the ones who cross the red line will die instantly. One of the inmates gets nervous and crosses the yellow line. As soon as he does, he falls down in pain. He accidentally crosses the red line, too.
Oh, come on,
the
dude.
man's stomach starts to bloat and eventually bursts. Others are put into an elevator that goes underground. It is revealed that the prison is 30 stories underground. John and a fellow inmate named Nino Gomez are led off on a floor. They are greeted by a monitoring device called the Z-10, which takes them to a crowded prison cell. One of the inmates, named Stiggs, yells at Zed, claiming that the cell already has too many people, but Zed instead threatens to intestinate him. The cells have a laser beam that stops inmates from going out when not needed. John introduces himself to another inmate named D-Day. As they are about to fall asleep, the third inmate, named Abraham, tells John to not dream. After everyone is asleep, Zed comes to inspect the prisoners. It scans John's face and goes into his dream. John is dreaming about him making love to Karen. Somewhere else in the monitoring room,
he was dreaming, alright.
Director, Poe, watches John's dream and grows an infatuation with Karen.
Alright, no more sex scenes, please.
Dreaming is an unauthorized thought process that is not allowed in the facility.
But how are you supposed to help it?
Sharp pain in his abdomen makes him struggle, suggesting that he has been intestinated. The following day, the inmates are made to work in underground construction. A homosexual inmate named Maddox sexually assaults Nino. John comes to his rescue and fights Maddox. Zed stops the commotion by triggering the device in their abdomen. Later, all three of them are kept in a tiny laser cell and asked who started the fight. Nino is too scared of Maddox to tell the truth. To save Nino, John lies that he himself started the fight. He is then taken to Poe's office, where Abraham is shaving Poe's beard. Poe shows John a live video of Karen showering. As it turns out, she was arrested after John and brought to prison as well. Poe intestinates Karen and John, making them whimper in pain as his punishment. Later, Abraham tells John that floors A and B are the women's quarters, hence Karen might be there too. Then, we see Karen in her cell talking to a fellow pregnant girl. As her stomach starts to hurt, two guards take her away. Karen realizes that the facility does something with their newborn children. In the men's quarter, Maddox picks a fight with John. The men get into an intense battle as everyone in the facility watches them, along with Poe from his cabin. Karen sees her husband from her floor and is surprised. Both the parties are bloodied when John pushes Maddox off the edge, but he hangs onto it. Poe orders John to finish off Maddox, but John instead helps him. Poe takes the matter into his own hands and uses a weapon to kill Maddox that blows up his whole stomach, creating a hole in it. John finds Maddox's abdomen device on the floor and secretly hands it to Nino before being taken away by the guards. In the following scene, Karen walks into a room where John is suspended in a massive machine called the Mind Wipe Chamber. Poe has sent her to ask John to cooperate with them. They talk for a while, but the guards drag her out soon after. The machine starts to move along with John making him hallucinate. This is his punishment for not obeying Director Poe's order to kill Maddox. John's brain slowly starts to break down as he sees his time at the military, his wedding day, and so on. After 3 days, Poe invites Karen to his chamber. 3 days?
Holy shit.
He is surprised that John has lasted this long, as the maximum someone has ever lasted on the machine is an hour. He offers Karen to let John free if she stays with him at his chamber as his companion. With no choice left, Karen agrees. When John returns to his cell, he is completely brain dead. He doesn't talk to anyone and has become completely numb to pain. Karen has started to live with Poe. One night, she wakes up to see Poe in a chair attached to several wires. As it turns out, he was modified to be an advanced human. He doesn't sleep or eat, but intakes amino acids once a month. The same happens with all the children born in the prison. They go through several procedures to be turned into advanced humans so that one day, mankind can be free of overpopulation and starvation. Poe is one of the first babies to be experimented upon. Karen is shocked by the information. 4 months pass and John has still not recovered. Abraham tells him that Karen's belly is finally showing and his baby will be born into the world soon. John doesn't react, but sheds a single tear. That night, Karen tricks Poe into drinking alcohol, which makes him pass out. She uses the control panel to control John's dream, in which she sees the kid version of John trapped in a pit. She brings him back out of the pit, bringing the real John back into consciousness. His inmate friends are shocked and happy to have him back. John asks Abraham to help him escape the prison with Karen. Abraham is skeptical, but agrees to do it for John anyway. Abraham tells Karen about John's recovery. She is over the moon about her plan working. She claims that she can help him with the escape and starts to devise a plan. Later, Nino hands John the device he had gotten from Maddox's body. Their inmate friend, D-Day, used to be a computer geek before coming to prison. He offers to take the device
he has
apart
glasses.
and study it.
He's a nerd.
Next, we see Karen steal a diamond-like holographic lens from Poe's cabin. She almost gets caught, but manages to hide the device inside her mouth. She hands the device to Abraham
really
the following
discreet.
day and asks him to give it to John. Abraham doesn't want to get in trouble, but accepts doing it as a favor. The guys use
Shove it
the
in your
cell's
mouth.
protective laser beams to trigger the lens and look at the hologram of the facility. They find that there is a way out through the construction site. The following morning, Abraham puts the lens back in Poe's cabin. Poe asks Karen to divorce John and marry him. He claims he will treat the child as his own and even promises to let John go free. Karen accepts the offer for her husband and child. Meanwhile, D-Day figures out how the intestinate device works. The device is magnetic and can be used to bring out the devices from other bodies. They try the procedure and are surprised when it works. They get all of their intestinate devices out.
It still sounds pretty fucking painful,
Poe is
dude.
alerted by Zed to look through the security camera footage, where he sees Karen stealing the lens and Abraham putting it back. He is angered to see he has been betrayed, but Zed informs him that he has been dismissed because of his carelessness. Meanwhile, the boys put their plan into action. They attach their intestinate devices to a metal pipe in the construction area and pose as if they are fighting. As Zed finds out about the fight, it triggers the intestinates, causing them to explode. This creates a way for them to escape through the pipe, but Poe activates the steam valves and sends hot gas into the pipes to keep them trapped.
Yeah, that
He
sounds
also
rough.
activates the strike clones, who start firing at the group from inside the facility. They are stuck in the pipe now. One of the inmates
Holy shit, they got
stays,
fucking pipe
panics, and
defense.
tries to go into the facility again, but the clones shoot him dead. Meanwhile, Abraham approaches Karen at the facility, but before they can do anything, Poe finds them. He kills Abraham and makes some soldiers take Karen to turn her baby into an advanced human like him. Meanwhile, the guys manage to kill one of the clones and find out that he is an advanced human as well. John takes his gun and attacks the other clones. They get inside the facility while battling the clones. In the end, they manage to get on top of an elevator-like machine that lifts them up. Everyone in the prison cheers for them when they see them escaping. They finally reach Poe's chamber and demand to meet Karen.
Shoot him.
The screen shows the doctors trying to extract her baby. John threatens Poe to cease the delivery, but since he has been dismissed, the system doesn't take his command. One of the killing devices recognizes the guys and tries to shoot them, but they quickly dodge it, making Poe its victim. After Poe's death, D-Day gets on the control panel and tries to stop the doctors from performing the procedure on Karen, but before he can complete the process, a clone shoots him. John manages to kill the clone, and an injured D-Day disables the whole facility's electrical system.
Just by pressing
With his
enter.
Final strength,
Nice.
The doctors stop the procedure for the time being. The security system fails, and every prisoner starts running away. John and Nino are the only survivors. They go to look for Karen and take her away from the doctors. The three get into a vehicle and finally drive away from the facility. They only stop when they cross the border and reach Mexico. Karen is about to give birth in a shed when the vehicle they drove in starts to move on its own.
Oh,
As it
fuck.
turns out, it is still being controlled by the facility. It hits Nino and kills him. John goes out to fight the vehicle as Karen is in labor inside the shed. John attacks the vehicle with the
What's a
weapon from earlier
flamethrower gonna
and
do against a
explodes
car?
it, but
Wait,
the
it
vehicle
worked?
strikes the shed,
Okay,
and
then.
Karen is buried in its
Oh,
remains.
she's
A
fucked.
distressed John looks for his wife and finds her safe nearby. She has a newborn baby in her hands. The movie ends as the two look at their kid in fascination.
I'm sure that wasn't
Subscribe
even...
for more
sure he
videos
coped
like this.
there, dude. She's
Turn on
fucking dead.
notifications and
She's
leave a
dead
like
as hell.
to help the channel out.
I actually like this one more than the other one. The other one with the analysis was pretty bad, right? I think this one is way better, Chad. I think this one is way better. I think he was coping. Yeah, they're alive and the baby's fine. She definitely gave birth herself and the baby is very healthy, of course. I think I like this one, because the new one with analysis isn't as good, honestly. There's no way this is a happy ending. Should we do one more, chat, or is that it? I think maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. We watched 3. We watched 3. These are pretty short though, but yeah, we did watch 3. Yeah. Sick boy sterilized in bubble for 18 years. That sounds real sorry. 6-year-old boy Fighting to be the youngest in World War II? Okay, we can do the last one. One more and then we're done, okay? When people are out of... The world is out of water, people drink petrol to survive. What the fuck? Let's zoom in a bit. We can do one last. Minute movies is the best? Okay, I'll try. Oh, it has humors too, but... I mean, chat, we'll do one last. Okay, let's see here. What can we do here? Area 51 body parts replaced with tech? Maybe. Which one should we watch, chat? Let's see, Earth's only pregnant girl? Nah. No more pregnancy stuff, please. I'm done. Let's try the one with the mask. Which one is the mask? This one? Modified to genetically survive? Petrol drinking? Alright, let's do the petrol drinking. Fuck parallel cities. Okay, no, this one looks good.
Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today,
Let's do this one.
I'm going to explain an American science fiction action film
I saw
called Aeon Flux.
my booba,
Spoilers
so
ahead.
I clicked.
Watch out.
I'll be honest.
Take care. A deadly virus wiped out 99% of humanity in 2011. A
Relevant.
person named Trevor Goodchild finds a cure for the virus and saves 1% of the human population. The remaining 1% consists of 5 million surviving people.
Damn,
who
they're
now live
chilling.
in a city called Bregna. The premise of the movie is set in the year 2415, 404 years after the pandemic. The city of Bregna has changed completely. At first glance, it looks like a perfect utopian city with happy people and a better quality of life. Massive concrete walls surround the circular city to stop people from going outside the premises and potentially catching the virus. Bregna is technologically advanced and has a
The
massive
name, dude. You
space-
had one. You have one city left, and you name it the Bregna. What the fuck, dude?
like object levitating.
I don't even want to
over the
live there if
city.
it's the only city.
For the past 400 years,
Yeah, I'm from
the
Bregna.
Goodchild dynasty has been ruling
Fuck
the
that.
city. However, the government hides a secret from its people. Many people vanish mysteriously and frequently, and no one knows why. Even weirder is that the whole population gets strange nightmares, and the government requests it to be treated. Everyone suspects that it is the government that is involved in the disappearances, but no one is brave enough to stand against the Goodchilds, except for a group of people called the Monnikins.
Yeah, they
Monnikins
totally
are an
blend in.
underground rebel
They're really blending in.
organization that aims to get the answers to the frequent disappearance and fight against the absolute rule of the Goodchilds. The protagonist of the movie, Aeon Flux, is a highly skilled assassin and a warrior who works secretly with the
Warrior?
Monnikins. At the beginning of the movie, we see her walking through the streets of the beautiful city. She meets a man at a junction, and the two kiss. We see the man transfer a pill from his mouth to hers as they kiss. When the two separate and go their own way, Aeon takes the pill. It is an advanced telepathic technology used by the Monnikins to communicate with each other.
Okay.
By taking the pill, Aeon is able to talk to the leader of the Monnikins, named Handler. She provides her with a new mission to sabotage the Goodchild's central surveillance facility. Later, we see Aeon walk through a busy street in the city. An old man shows people a picture of his daughter, asking if someone has seen her. Aeon meets her younger sister Una, and the two plan to meet for dinner that night. After her meeting with Una, she goes to the Goodchild's headquarters and very swiftly kills the 3 guards outside. She goes further in and defeats the other guards too. They do not
Holy
match
shit.
Aeon's fighting and spying skills. She jumps inside through
She's a
the
fucking
roof
spider.
and sees the life of every person in the city being watched through some kind of technology. Aeon then plants a bug in the place and completes her mission successfully. That night, Aeon is going to Una's apartment, but on her way, she sees 2 men carrying Una's body away. She is shocked and freezes in her tracks. Some guards
Damn.
bring Una's boyfriends behind her. He looks at Aeon and tells her that Una wasn't a Monnikin, suggesting that she was killed for being misunderstood as a Monnikin. Aeon cannot stop thinking about her sister at night. She pledges to take revenge on the people who got her killed. A microphone embedded permanently on her ear tells her that Handler wants to see her. She uses telepathic technology to meet the leader. She hands her a new mission, the most important mission they have had yet. It is to kill the man who has made the cure and chairman of the Goodchild's rule, Trevor Goodchild. Aeon accepts the mission delightedly because she is getting a chance to kill the murderer of her sister. Handler blows her pollen from a flower and embeds Aeon with the plan of the mission. Sathandra, Aeon's friend and a fellow member of the Monnikin, will help her cross the border, which is the first step of the mission. The following day, Aeon and Sathandra start the plan. They run through the restricted premises of the good child's residence and are shot by several weapons planted on the trees.
What are these?
Sathandra
These
helps
weapons are
Aeon to get
useless.
through the traps
Th-
and
like,
leaves her to
that
complete the rest
is
of the,
literally,
through the
literally this crawling on the floor, which is slower than the running, is evading all these darts.
and leaves her to complete the rest of the
Okay,
mission
dude.
alone and waits outside
Nice
for her.
defense system, bro.
Inside the massive residence, we see Trevor Goodchild talk to his brother and a co-member of their government, Oren Goodchild. The two talk about a system their world is working on. Trevor is actively trying to better the said system because it harms the people currently, but Oren is in the favor of continuing the current system even though it is hurting the people. Sometime later, Aeon finds Trevor in an auditorium practicing a speech. She comes in front of him and points her gun at him. However, before she can pull the trigger, Trevor calls her Catherine. Aeon gets a flashback of two people kissing and cannot seem to shoot him. Someone from behind her knocks her unconscious.
Oh.
When she opens her eyes, she is in a cell. One of the walls becomes transparent, revealing Trevor standing on the other side.
Oh
Aeon
damn, she's
asks
fucking
him
had a
about calling her Catherine earlier, but Trevor doesn't tell her why he did.
hairdo or
He
something.
claims it is good to see her again, and leaves. A part on the wall reverses, offering her food and water, but Aeon suspects that the water is spiked by looking through her microscope embedded in her eyes. She takes a sample of it with her. She then calls on some marbles that she had spread throughout the facility. The marbles explode, creating an
Jesus,
opening.
this
through which-
technology exists, and she literally crawled through the fucking grass to get in there. Like they're shooting like darts, and then this technology fucking exists. Okay,
Aeon
dude,
runs away.
nice
Then we
one.
see Oren and other members of the government who aren't fond of Trevor's idea talk about Aeon's escape. Oren dismisses them all, but later meets Trevor's secretary, Inari. As they talk, we get to know that Oren was the one who manipulated the Monakins into wanting to kill Trevor. He wants his brother dead and wants to do it discreetly, so his death won't track back to him. Aeon then goes to see Una's boyfriend, who tells her that the liquid she was given has a message that will be told to her when she drinks it. Aeon then drinks the liquid, and Trevor talks to her in her head. He asks her why she didn't kill him earlier when she had a chance, and then he calls her to a place. Aeon rushes to go meet him. She asks him for
Terrible
an answer
cheese,
to
that's
all
what I
this,
must.
but he instead questions
29
her why
long
she is
years
here,
of MMR grinding and movie watching Pog.
Thanks,
wanting her
Cerebral.
to remember the truth herself. In the heat of the moment, the two kiss. After a while, Aeon
Okay.
wakes up naked beside Trevor and is confused. She doesn't know what took over her earlier. She strangles him and knocks him out. Aeon then finds a secret door leading to a library. An armor suddenly latches onto her and brings her to Trevor's lab.
Tentacles.
She sees that he has been performing some kind of experiment, but just then, she is confronted by Trevor's personal security and assistant, Freya. Freya knows her as the assassin sent to kill her boss, so she attacks her. The women get into an intense fight, both equally skilled. In the end, Aeon manages to escape through a secret opening. When Trevor comes back to consciousness, Freya tells him that she escaped, and he asks her to bring Aeon back, alive. Oren and the other officials see that Trevor and Freya have slept together. They believe that Trevor has betrayed their trust by welcoming a member of the Monacan, so they want to dethrone him altogether. She goes back to meet Sathandra and tells her she has aborted
Can't blame
the
him too
mission.
much.
They get into an argument, after which Aeon ties Sathandra up and runs away. She sees the floating structure in the sky through which the good childs keep an eye on the citizens. She climbs up to reach it. Inside, she sees a strange man controlling a strange panel. The man sees Aeon and welcomes her back. He points towards a direction and disappears, leaving a confused Aeon to do whatever she likes. She goes to the panel and realizes the device has information about everyone in the city, so she searches for her sister's name. As it turns out, Una has been reborn as Sasha Prelo. She gets her address and runs to see her sister.
Reborn. Alright.
Meanwhile, Sathandra informs Handler about Aeon's betrayal. Handler assigns more members of the Monakins to eliminate Aeon. Trevor reaches the flying object and meets the man who happens to be the ship's keeper. After knowing she went to see her sister,
Keeper
Trevor
of the
runs
light.
there too. Aeon holds her baby sister with teary eyes when Trevor reaches there. He finally reveals to her the truth about Bregna. When the virus first spread 400 years ago, Trevor and a group of scientists developed the cure and saved some of the world. But the cure had a terrible side effect. It made all the women infertile. So, humans only had that one generation to live. However, Trevor saved them when his cloning experiment was successful. He cloned the DNA of every person alive and gave them a rebirth. Every person born in the last 400 years is a clone of the ones who were cured. That is why people have strange dreams. The dreams are the memories of their past lives. That is also the reason the population of the place has remained 5 million for all these centuries. When a person dies in the city, the ship's keeper recycles their DNA and assigns it to someone else. The citizens are unknown to this and think they have a natural pregnancy, but in reality, the keeper of the floating ship finds a suitable couple to impregnate and induce the woman with a chemical pregnancy. When they visit the doctor to see if they are pregnant, the cloned embryo is planted in her. That way, she gives birth to a clone of someone who has recently died. For the past 7 generations, Trevor and Oren have cloned themselves and taught their younger versions all the things they need to know. Then, Trevor also tells Aeon that this method is not permanent, and he has been looking for a way to re-induce natural pregnancy for all these years. Turns out, Una was subject to Trevor's experiment, who had successfully been pregnant naturally, but Oren killed her because he wants the cloning process to go on forever, so he can live forever. He wants to be immortal. As Aeon looks at her sister, the place is attacked by Oren's men, but with Aeon's fighting skills, she protects Trevor, and the two manage to run away from the place while being pursued by the men. They reach a train station and escape by boarding
What
a
is
train.
that train?
However, Trevor has been shot.
He's fucked.
Aeon quickly takes him to a nearby quiet area and takes the bullets out of his body. She peels off her skin and puts it on his,
What the
healing
hell?
his wounds. Trevor then claims that they have to go to his lab to collect his files on the experiment he performed on Una, so he could induce natural pregnancy again. Aeon asks him about their relationship, and Trevor claims that she was Catherine, his wife, 400 years ago. Oren has told Trevor that she died because of the virus, but her DNA clone was protected. Aeon is beyond surprised, but they do not have much time to chat. When the two reach his lab, they see Freya dead, and all his reports have been burned. Trevor wants to run away from the city, but Aeon insists on doing one last thing before leaving. She wants to destroy the floating ship, because she believes that cloning is playing with nature.
What, then all of
Humans are
humanity
supposed
dies?
to die, and she doesn't want that to change anymore. But before she can shoot the ship down, Oren and his men surround the two. At the same
It's a
time,
terrible
Cassandra
solution.
and her Monikins team climb at a high point to assassinate Aeon. Oren then reveals to Trevor that more and more women started getting pregnant, not because of Trevor's experiment, but because they were healing from the cure's side effects. So, he killed them all, including Una. That is why the citizens have been disappearing mysteriously. He now plans to kill both of them and continue the world of cloning. As they talk, Aeon notices Cassandra far away. She uses telepathy technology to convince her to help them. Cassandra and her group begin to shoot at the guards to save Trevor and Aeon. During the shootout, Oren is injured. Cassandra's group manages to kill most of Oren's guards. However, an injured Oren shoots Cassandra and drops
Did that
her off
aim?
the
The
height,
holy shit.
killing her.
Okay.
In the end, Trevor and Oren come face to face. Aeon shoots Oren dead when he points his gun at Trevor. Aeon then gets on the ship and explodes it, destroying the DNA clones stored inside. The ship goes flying and lands harshly on the city's perimeter wall. The people see the outside world for the first time. It seems fertile and full of vegetation, a land that can be inhabitable. The movie ends as we see a glance of Aeon and Trevor's life 400 years ago. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn
That
on
was kind of a
notifications,
weird movie.
and leave a like to
I'm
help
not sure what to think about the plot. I'm not sure what to think about the plot at all, honestly. I mean, it's good, happy ending, I guess. You know, they escaped the thing. It wasn't. It wasn't that bad. All right. Wasn't that bad. All right, today I think we had some decent movies today, chat. We actually had some pretty decent movies. Jesus, fuck that thumbnail. Fuck. Not so bad movies. I think Mystery Recap seemed better than the other one. The analysis, it was a little bit too long drawn. The first movie we watched, just too long, you know. These are 10 minutes, which is more manageable. The other one were like 20. But I'm done, chat. Hope you guys had fun today. I'm gonna go eat now. I'm starving. I'm actually starving. I need to eat right now. But tomorrow, new day, boys. Another winning day, maybe. We won one game today. That's +1. Now people can't make fun of us anymore. We're ranked 430 instead of 450. A lot of improvement. Alright. See you guys tomorrow. Good night, guys.